Hello, thanks for tuning in. My reflection this week is entitled The Story. The Story. If you've ever heard of the name Yuri Gagarin, you probably will be aware that he was a Russian cosmonaut. In fact, he was the first human to actually travel into space and orbit the Earth. And he said something really interesting during his flight. He said, "I don't see any God up here. I don't see any God up here." Quite an interesting thing to say. C.S. Lewis, in his work, The Seeing Eye, wrote, "If there is a God that created us, we could not discover him by going up into the air. God does not relate to us the way a man on the second floor would relate to a man on the first floor. He would relate to us the way Shakespeare relates to Hamlet." C.S. Lewis says, Shakespeare is the creator of Hamlet's world and of Hamlet himself. Hamlet can know about Shakespeare only if the author reveals information about himself in the play. And so too, the only way to know about God is if God has revealed himself. This is why this time of year is so important for us. It's because we are reminded that Jesus came to earth, that God became flesh. He took on human flesh and came to humanity, his creation. God revealed himself in the unfolding story of humanity. And so the Christmas story really is of God coming to earth. Now, you might ask why. Well, there are many reasons, but one of the prime reasons is that God revealed himself to humanity for loving relationship. That's something that's quite interesting about human beings. We long for intimate relationship. Now, sometimes we might pretend that we don't need them, but at our core, we are relational beings. And the Christmas story shows us that God, the creator of the universe, wants a relationship with us. You know, it was something quite radical. It was something that no one was expecting. If you go back in scripture, you find that the Israelites, the Jewish people, for them, God was contained in the Holy of Holies. That was his dwelling place. And the thought that God would actually take on human flesh was beyond their wildest dreams. The prophet Isaiah, however, foretold of the coming Messiah, and he said that his name would be Emmanuel. Emmanuel. It means God with us. And the implication is that God would dwell among his people. I love the way the Message translation puts John 1:14. It reads in this way: "The Word became flesh and blood and moved into our neighborhood." The Word became flesh and blood and moved into our neighborhood. That's what Emmanuel means. God is with us. God has moved into our neighborhood. Jesus came to earth and entered into our story. You know, God is not afraid of our pain. He's not afraid of our messiness. He's not even afraid of our sin. He enters into the story to show his love for us. He didn't come to force his way into our lives. He doesn't want blind obedience. He wants our love. And rather than making us go to him, he came to us. God's desire is for relationship. It's for communion, deep communion. It's a relationship that really should be of mutual choosing. We need to respond. Jesus came really to reconcile humanity back to a loving God. But it remains our choice as to whether we will follow him or not, as to whether we will enter into relationship with him. You've probably heard the Christmas story more than 1,000 times, but why not take some time in the next few weeks just to let it sink in again? The creator of the universe came to earth in pursuit of you. And so you can relate to him, you can run to him, you can go to him, whatever your need. God is always going to be there with the right thing at the right time and in the right way. His love for us has no conditions. And so really our love for him should have no conditions either. May you know God's grace and experience His peace this Advent season. Be blessed.